Hello guys, welcome back to episode 8, but I need to warn you before we continue guys. Everything you are about to hear changed my life forever. Up until this point, there was still a part of me trying to convince myself that I was imagining things. A part of me desperately trying to believe that the strange behavior from my husband, the late night conversations I had down the hall, the warning signs, the uneasy feeling in my stomach were all just me being nervous and tired from a long flight and excitement of an upcoming wedding. Maybe marriage felt different, maybe I was overwhelmed, maybe I was overthinking. That's what I kept telling myself. But the truth was far worse than anything I could ever imagined. When we left off, it was the morning after my wedding, my first morning as Michael's wife, remember? And honestly, I didn't feel the way I thought it would. There was no excitement, no happiness, no romance, no feeling of being newly married kind of feeling, if you understand what I mean. Instead, there was tension and uncomfortable silence hanging over everybody. Michael barely spoke during breakfast. Can you imagine that? Newly married. When he did speak, his tone felt different. Short, cold, almost irritated, and I kept wondering if something was wrong. But every time I asked, he brushed me off. And around midday, he left the house. Remember, he's a businessman. He said he had business to handle. And I was relieved, not because I wanted him gone, but because I needed space. Space to think, space to breathe, space to understand what was happening. And after he left, I started exploring the house. Remember the secret drawer I mentioned in episode 7? Yeah, I had barely looked around properly since arriving, and most of my attention had been focused on the wedding actually, the guests, the celebrations, everything else, and eventually I found myself in what appeared to be his home office, if you understand that setting. The room was neat, organized, professional, a large desk, several shelves, documents everywhere, and at first I was simply curious, nothing more. Then I noticed something strange. One drawer was actually locked. Not unusual, except every other drawer was open. And only one was locked actually in the study. And for some reason, that bothered me a little. I told myself to leave it alone. I really did. I didn't want to interfere with this stuff, but curiosity was a powerful thing. Curiosity is a powerful thing. I think everyone knows how that feels, especially when you're already suspicious. I sat at the desk, his study desk, opened a few ordinary drawers, pens, receipts, business papers, nothing unusual, all that kind of stuff. Then I noticed a small key taped underneath the desk, and my heart immediately started racing. Why hide the key? Why not keep it in the drawer? Why tape it underneath? I remember staring at it, trying to decide what to do with it. Then every instinct told me to leave it alone. Instead, I didn't follow my intuition. I reached for the key, a decision I would never forget. And my hands were shaking as I inserted it into the lock. I click, the drawer opened. And at first nothing seemed strange actually, just files, documents, folders, and then I started looking closer, and that's when everything changed, watu wangu. The first thing I found was a passport. Not unusual, right? Except it wasn't Michael's passport. It belonged to a woman I had never heard of before. So I frowned. That kind of confusion. Maybe it belonged to a relative. Then I found another passport. Another woman again. Different name. Different photo. And my confusion quickly turned into concern. Then another, then another, then another. Can you imagine that? I froze, guys. Watu wangu, there were multiple passports. Imagine unajikuta kwa situation kama hiyo. Multiple, not one, not two, not three. Multiple passports, not for one person where mtu ana renew mmoja ime expire, but they are for different people, different photos. All belong to different women, young women from different countries. Some from East Africa, some from Southern Africa, one from Europe. And I felt cold. And suddenly, very cold. Nothing made sense. Why would Michael have this? Why? I nearly knew Lisa. Then I found photographs. Stacks of them. Women standing beside Michael. Women smiling. Women hugging him. And women posing with his family. Women who looked exactly the way I had looked a few weeks earlier. Happy, trusting, in love. My hands began trembling, guys. Nilijisikia mgonjwa. I felt sick. Then I found something even worse. Wedding photos. Not one set, guys. Several, mingi. Na wanaume, wanawake tofauti, different women. Different ceremonies, different dates, different locations. But the same groom, my husband, Michael, and alimekuwa akiwa wanawake tofauti. I couldn't breathe. Imagine you finding such a deep secret. I literally couldn't breathe. I remember dropping the photographs. My heart pounding so hard, I thought I might pass out. Nilikuwa nasikia tu chest inauma. The room suddenly felt smaller, hotter, dangerous, and I kept telling myself, there had to be an explanation. Is normal? There had to be. There was no way. Then I found the notebook. A black notebook, simple, ordinary, kind of nobody would notice. And the moment I opened it, the entire world shattered, guys. Inside this black notebook, there were names, there were dates, na nchi tofauti countries. Alafu kuna notes. Zile ziko detailed notes. Women, their personalities, their families, their finances, their weaknesses, their travel histories, everything, guys. Page after page after page. And it felt like reading a hunter's journal, if you kind of a thriller book. Each woman carefully documented, carefully studied, carefully tracked. Then I found my page. My page ilikuwa na jina yangu, picha yangu, nchi yangu, university nilikuwa nasomea, familia yangu, my fears, my everything I had ever told Michael. Michael aliandika chini. Catalogued, studied. I felt physically sick, actually. Nilijisikia mgonjwa. Then I saw something written beside my name. Aliandika maneno matatu. 3 simple words. Family fully convinced. I dropped the notebook. And at that moment, I finally understood none of these had been random. That Facebook friend request from episode 1, how we met, the gifts he had been sending me, the money, the visits, the proposal, the wedding, none of it. It had all been planned, guys. And carefully, he planned all this. Carefully, patiently, deliberately, and I was shaking uncontrollably as I discovered all this. Then I heard something. Akadi kama alikuwa amerudi. Hapo nje nilisikia gari ikinguruma and my blood turned to ice. My husband Michael, he was home and I looked at the clock. He wasn't supposed to be back yet. Ni kama alirudi mapema kidogo. Panicked, exploded inside me. And I shoved everything back into the drawer. Hizo picha zote na mapasipoti na hizo notebook, documents zote, everything. My hands were shaking so badly. I nearly dropped the key. Then I heard the front door open. I quickly locked the drawer, placed the key underneath the desk, vile alificha, nikakimbia nje, and barely making it into the hallway before I heard his footsteps. Aliingia kwa room, akastop. Immediately, the silence that followed was terrifying. I tried acting normal, ili asijue that I had discovered this little secret. Tried smiling, I tried breathing normally, but I couldn't feel sweat running down. I could feel sweat running down my back. And akaniuliza swali. Very simple question, terrifying question. Have you been in my office? Aliuliza tu, umeingia ofisini mwangu? My stomach dropped, guys, and for a moment I couldn't speak. Nikatetemeka, not because I didn't know what to say, because I suddenly realized something terrifying. Michael already knew the answer. The way he was looking at me, ilikuwa nasema tu ashajua. The way he was standing, the way his eyes never left my face, he knew. And for the first time since meeting him, I saw genuine danger in his eyes. Not anger, not anything. Danger. The kind of danger that makes every survival instinct wake up at once in you. A forced smile. Nikamjibu no. And the stare continued. Several seconds, then several more, and finally, a smile too, but it wasn't the smile I knew. The warm and loving smile, no. The kind smile I knew, no. It was a terrifying smile. Then he said something that I'll never forget. Akasema too good. Vizuri. And akatembea akaenda zake, he walked away. So that single word scared me more than shouting would ever scare me. Because deep down, nilijua, alijua, and from that moment on, kila kitu ili change. The following morning, I discovered my passport was missing. Nakumbuka hata sijui Kenyan embassy iko wapi hapa, hata sijui Lagos. Sijui Kenya Air Commission iko wapi nikiwa Lagos. I don't know anywhere, and I don't have any money with me. And my passport is gone. Imagine you're in such a situation. And that's when I realized I wasn't just married. I was trapped, guys. Please stay tuned for episode 9. I'll post about episode 9. How my passport disappeared. How he became controlling. And how I realized that I can't freely leave because my passport was gone. So stay tuned for episode 9. Please subscribe and share this video so that other girls can learn.